Hi there, I'm Kerry Decker, and we're going to take a look at one of America's favorite movie cameras, the Kodak Brownie.
For big, clear, colorful, low-cost movies, you can get a Brownie movie camera for only $32.50 or as little as $3.50 down. Remember, Brownie movie cameras are made by Kodak, and the surest way to better movies is to insist on that name, Kodak.
Hi there, I'm Kerry Decker, and we're going to take a look at one of the most popular old 8mm cameras. It's the Kodak Brownie movie camera. And you know, I've seen some demonstrations of this old camera on here on YouTube, and you know, they've been good and everything like that. I have no problems with them, but many of the people that have done these explanations about the camera were so young that they weren't even born when this camera was manufactured. So take it from an old guy with gray hair. Let's take a look at someone who's actually used the camera and is familiar with it. In fact, I'm so familiar with it, it was back in 1961 that I shot this short piece of film using this very, very same movie camera. Take a look at this. Yeah, I haven't changed it. Yeah, that was an old film clip that I shot into a mirror back in 1961 of myself using this very same camera. It was in 1951 that Kodak first introduced this movie camera, and it originally came with a 2.7 13mm lens, which is kind of like a normal lens, and that's the one that's on my model that I have here. And it was 2 years later, in 1953, that they introduced a 13mm 1.9 lens. Now, the lower the number, that 1.9, the lower the light that you can shoot pictures in. Like I said, it was introduced in 1951, and it was the following year, 1952, that Kodak introduced the Brownie movie projector, which was another compact, easy-to-use projector. And then it was 3 years after that, 1955, that Kodak introduced the turret model. You know, the turret with the 3 lenses, which was wide angle, the normal, and a telephoto lens. And you saw both the turret and the standard model in that old Kodak ad. And so it was a great camera, but this was the one that I used, and I couldn't afford the turret. In fact, I remember buying this camera up in New York from a drugstore called Mac Drugstore in Poughkeepsie, New York, and I paid $21 for it. But it's been a great camera over the years, and let's take a little closer look at it, and I'll show you some of the features and how the camera loads. Okay. Here is a detailed look at the Kodak Brownie movie camera. Alrighty, right up on the front here, this was the thing that it was a fixed focus lens, by the way. You never had to focus it. It was always preset from about 3 foot to infinity. So you never had to worry about focus or anything. Since there was no focusing aid or anything, you'd be guessing anyway. And then on the side here is the aperture. And this is very important because this would help you set what the brightness is. And they had all of the cloudy bright and the sunny and the open shade and everything. And you turn this wheel, and there was a series of holes that gradually got larger and larger that would let more light in the darker it got, just the way your eye works. And they also had, believe it or not, like what we call filter factors in there also. That's what that other little line is for, because you could put a variety of different filters on this camera. If you wanted to take, they had indoor film and outdoor film, and if you wanted to switch them between the two, shoot outdoor film indoors and indoor film outdoors, there was a filter to color correct the image and everything that you could use. Now, also down here is your footage counter that showed you how many feet that you had in your movie camera, and you had to shoot 25 down to 0 and it ran twice, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And here, of course, is the button to stop and start it. And if you push it kind of all the way down, it locks on. and you could put the camera on a tripod. There's the socket on the bottom, and so you could run around and for a few seconds get in the picture. On the top is a folding viewfinder, all right, so you could carry it around and everything, and then when you're ready to shoot, you would just pop this thing up. They didn't give you much for an eyepiece back there. You had to look into this little hole, but hey, you know, it worked. And on the front here, of course, is when you put it up to your eye, you would look through this large frame. Now you'll notice that there's two little teeth that are sticking out into the viewfinder, and this one over here is the one that you used if you were going to use just normal shooting, anything from about 3 or 4 feet and beyond. You would look through there and arrange your pictures from that spot on down. Now there's a thing called parallax, which means when you're looking through your lens here and the camera sees a slightly lower angle than what you're looking at, and the closer you get with a camera, this parallax becomes more into effect. And you'll notice many of the home movies always had people's heads chopped off because they were just using the whole viewfinder all the time. But Kodak helped you out a little bit. They had a second notch which was placed down lower, so if you were down around 2 or 3 feet away from the subject, this would be the top part of your frame. In other words, like you could, if you cut it off like that, and that would be a little bit more accurate in the difference between your lens and your viewfinder, called parallax. So there was a 2-foot setting and a 4-foot setting, so you always had to make sure you use that. And this is a key wound camera, which would give you, I don't know, it was like 30 seconds or so of filming time. And I used to kind of do it that way. And it folds back against the handle. And of course would give you some good shooting. Yep, you can hear that. And that'd be great. And you always had to do it with kind of a definite on, definite off. Otherwise you'd get a flash in your frames while, see, if you did it like that, you would always get perfect movies. And of course opening it up was just by pushing this button over, we'll see. And here is a little thing, again, a reference for exposure. And if you did use a different type of film or you wanted to know, this had little grooves in it so you could take a part of the box and slide, you know, kind of tear it off and slide it in there as a reminder of what type of film you had. Okay, now to open it you had to actually push it in and slide it over, and that was good because that would be like a lock, and you wouldn't accidentally, you know, if you was pushing against something, the whole side would fall open, and of course it would ruin your film. So you had to push it in and slide it over, and then the camera would open up, and there you go, and there is your 8 film, which was inside. Let me show you how to load it, and also I see I got some film in here. Let me show you something about 8mm cameras, that why they call it 8. Now, one thing I want you to see before I do this is notice that the lens is off center. See how it's over to one side? It's not directly in the center of the camera. It's off side because it would shoot down one side of the film at a time and then the other. So let me show you how that works, because it's a cool system, really. Well, there it is. There's a close-up look at one of my favorite old-time movie cameras, the Kodak Brownie. And I enjoyed that camera, and until I bought others into the mid-60s, this served me very, very well. And it's one of the cameras that I've held on to, and it still works even to this day, nearly 50 years later. So I hope that you've have enjoyed the look back at this old camera. I'm going to do another one of these series, a camera which was quite professional, as a matter of fact. This was the first 8mm sound camera, which, believe it or not, came out in the late 1950s. It's none other than the Fairchild Cinephonic 8. Turret lens, and it shot film with magnetic sound. A camera far ahead of its time, believe me. A wonderful, wonderful camera, and we're going to show that in another episode. So, this is Kerry Decker, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time, we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye now.